Welcome to the Winners and Losers Show. Hello, everybody. It's me, Hank, the host, the guy doing the show. Today, we've got a great slate of guests coming up. That's not true. No guests. I can't book anybody. I haven't. It's not because I probably could if I tried. I've never tried. I used to try. I mean, I did book people. Terrible start to the show. I want to have guests, but the idea of booking, we had lots of guests back in the early days of the show. And my point, I know how to talk to somebody and send them an email, but that whole emailing and booking just overwhelms me. And then setting it all up is just not, I just don't feel like doing that, even though I think that would probably be really good for the show. And I do want to do it, and I will soon, maybe. We're trying. It really would be probably better for the show than any other thing I could do, because I could have people come on who have, interesting things to say, and you can see how I react to other human beings, which is something some of you may have never seen. Maybe it's never happened. Sometimes I forget how to talk to people. All right, well, good. That's the start. We're back for the show. We've got Diane Feinstein's dead. We've got a bunch of talk about Israel and Palestine and that horrifying situation. I am not going to give you the updates, the news. I'm going to get into more of my opinion. I mean, everybody's sharing their feelings and opinions, and I'm not going to act with confidence about that, other than the confidence I have about my convictions. To me, I look at it as a lens for how the overall society is receiving and then re-radiating information that they're getting, because we're in the age of severe misinformation, cognitive decline, and emotional dysregulation that makes people seek their bias affirmations more than anything else. I just jumped right into it. I was going to wait. That was going to be because you always finish with the super depressing thing at the end, right? I learned that from all my days having sex. 5 days. I had sex 5 times. And what an inappropriate joke in the middle of a Palestine and Israel. So it's just awful. All of it's terrible. But I watch people react, and I just kind of catalog data. That's how my head works. That's the pattern recognition for my autistic buddies out there that you guys we're all so familiar with. Instead of getting those emotions so worked up. And I avoid foreign policy because kind of fucking jagoff from their bedroom puts up a goddamn video where they talk about foreign policy when they don't know shit about it. Okay, you know what I'm saying. I distrust confidence, or at least I assess confidence. I think we should all do that more. Others' confidence. And that inherently is a low confidence kind of project, but people are just far too confident about their feelings and opinions because it's easier to feel confident than to not. Nuance is a more difficult bundle to carry. A cube is easier to carry around than a cube made of socks, right? All right, so where the hell are we? You know what? I'm always starting my show by apologizing to my Patreon supporters. I aspire to be on time. It's there's other reasons that I'm going to be explaining eventually that I think you guys will probably be like, oh, wow, holy shit. But eventually we'll get to that. So it's, but I also just lose track of time. I looked at the clock the other day and it was fucking October 9th. When did that happen? It's already October 11th. How does this happen? The dates just, I really just don't, it feels like I did the last show like a couple of days ago. I don't know. It's certainly something wrong or divergent in my head with the way I assess that stuff. I mean, I've been alive since I did the last show, and it was September 26th. That's ages ago. A whole different world. So here we are again. And that was a 3-hour one. And so I'm going to try to not keep this one that long. I really hope I'm not. So just let's do some personal rambling. What did I plan on? Well, the cat likes watching TV. She's just fucking addicted to it. She's a good old American. She's already, I was going to make a diabetes joke. That's not, that was going to be uncouth. She likes squirrels. She likes the squirrels and the birds on the television, on the YouTube channels. And that's my dream in life. I actually did start a cat channel called Every Day is Cat Day. Even if you search for it, it's almost impossible to find on YouTube. Every Day is Cat Day. And then put the word rats or fish swimming in a pool. I made like 1 hour long video. It's really nice animation. I think it, and she responded to it a little bit, but my roommate figured out that she likes those squirrel channels. I would just love to have a tiny little spot in rural California somewhere where I can see some mountains, have some trees, get overwhelmed by the sound of animals, hope that I don't stumble into an illegal marijuana grow, either one that's busy and active or one that's just loaded up with toxic chemicals. Because the way we manage land is just all real good here. We're just treating Earth like it's a ball of duct tape that we're in a race to dismantle. Do they do that? They should. Hire me, reality TV producers. No, could you imagine a worse fucking group of people I could get involved with? And I would just film stuff. I would have a barn and be like, look, we got to fix this barn. And then they'll like film me like bitching about my wrists while trying to fix a barn and just make things. But I would love to set up these squirrel channels. I would be the squirrel king. These channels get so much fucking views. They're probably raking in the money. It'd be really easy. I've done a little bit of this kind of thing, like when I go home and go up to Wisconsin with my dad. But not like, wow, just have little birdies flying around eating peanuts and shit, and put that on YouTube. What a much easier psychological rapids to navigate than the one I've been in since I've moved to LA and worked at TYT and was just doing news and comedian opinion shit and all this other crap. But editing fucking all the horrors of the planet when you work in digital media. That's one of those underappreciated reasons why jobs like that are a toil. Like, we don't necessarily consider the emotional cost of some of those types of things. So that there's certain industries. Sometimes that breaks through when it's like Facebook using this temp worker scam to avoid actually having to hire employees to do their, child stuff. This really dark, the murder videos and stuff, the stuff that are like incredibly traumatizing to just see. And then, Mark Zuckerberg was questioned about that. But so another part of my aspiration is to end up somewhere in a quiet little glade and to film little squirrels and stuff and birds whom I will only compensate for their labor with further promises of peanuts and other polyunsaturated fats. I just fantasize. And the same with the woodworking thing. I got to lean back into that woodworking stuff too, because that's a different sort of emotional register for video editing and things. But meanwhile, we're not doing that yet. We're just still going to be digging into it all. Why did I bring up so then the cat saw a squirrel outside. She gets to look out the window, and there was a squirrel hanging out on the balcony at my woodworking shop. And I made the joke. My roommate and I have reached a point where we're sending each other pictures of the cat. And I still hope to find someone to take the cat because I can't afford it for all the reasons. It's probably just irresponsible, and I'm not a cat guy. But she did see a squirrel, so I got a picture of her looking at a squirrel, and I said that she spotted a YouTube celebrity. I thought that was a pretty good text. So that's fun. Car's busted. I don't actually know if it's busted. We heard a noise, and then I looked under it, and there was dripping, and then I touched the drip, and then it was water, or at least it didn't smell like anything at all, even with my terrible sense of smell. And then it's Googling because I heard this noise, and I thought this little tube, I don't know what the fuck, but it's like 115,000 miles. Check engine light, thingy here needs looking. So I have it into the shop this morning, which is going to chew up all the money I've earned, or maybe, yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But that means I might get interrupted in the middle of this. I'll have to go deal with that and come back to record later. So, yeah, that's good, though. It always feels great to get a car out of a shop, though, when it's like, okay, now we're good. Now we can kind of ride this dragon for a little while. Dragon's got a full belly. We're ready to go. Let's go torch. Let's go. Well, that's not a good. Shouldn't do that today. Yeah. So, I don't know. That's all the personal rambling I really got. I did a little bit of woodworking at someone else's house, which was a fucking thrill to actually do woodworking with others who love it the way I do, and to like not have it as a job. I've only ever done woodworking by myself for fun. And actually, when I did have the woodworking job, I enjoyed the other dudes. We would like do projects. These are all guys that like woodworking. And but we always only had like a half hour on our lunch breaks, and so we'd sneak in a little sanding here and there every once in a while, but like generally we just did shit on our lunch breaks and talked about it and stuff. So that was the excitement I got to feel again, which is one of my favorite bits about it. Also, why it's so tragic that my fucking wrists are jacked up, because for me, only so many activities help me get out of my head and get that focus that I can do. And just like, so because I get completely lost when I'm doing like woodworking, when I'm feeling, it's all just problem solving. It's using your body. It's puzzle solving. It's spatial 3D visualization. It's risky. That's the part I don't like, but that forces me to slow down. And like, so yeah, it's fine. But so I got to go, I mean, it sucks that that's like lost now that I can't really, I mean, I can do a little woodworking. I have to wrap up my hands real good with my bandages. I just have this cluster of bandages of wrist braces and stuff all the way, always following around me like Pigpen with his stink lines. And so with enough bracing, I'm okay. Because my issue is I can't bend all the way. I can't. This hand is better, but like I can't put pressure on it in bend positions. So this one seems to be getting worse. So yeah, patreon.com/winners and losers. Yeah, you need hands to do most jobs. That's the thing. So, okay. Yeah, but anyway, sorry, I'm a little out of it. The woodworking has been awesome. It was really cool to hang out in another guy's place and see his amazing shop and like work on some stuff and just help out. It's just fun. It just feels really nice. It's such a rare thing. I'm like, wow, this is you're supposed to do things you enjoy with other people? Weird. So anyway, we should get into it. Let's get going, because I say I don't want to go forever, and then of course I do. Oh fuck, I didn't switch it over. God damn it. I wanted it to look like this. And then instead I had it looking like this. Oh fuck, now it's messed up again. Oh, hold on. Great podcasting. There, go. All right. Perfect. Gonna do some Valheim streams, by the way. I think I might even do that today. I kind of had to step away from the Valheim pool. That's this video game. I put up some stuff on the channel of. It's like a Viking Minecraft, basically, and it's really fun because it's a lot of woodworking and slaughtering. Again, another thing I shouldn't. Yeah, you go off and you like raid other people's they're. It's easier, I guess, if you don't think of them as people. Fuck. Boy, this world is Jesus. Yeah, but anyway, I'm going to do some more Valheim stuff. I've done a whole lot of stuff around my base. I doubt anybody's invested in it at all, but it's much nicer. It's the same project that I'm attempting in my own life, which is, you should too, is to clear up some of the piles, some of the clutter. This is about the most organized part in my entire world because it's behind me in the camera shot, but it's a lot of clutter, a lot of doom piles, things that they seem like they become background, but they really just become background data, like extra pixels, extra contrast that your brain is still picking up, and so when you clear it, your brain doesn't have to work so hard with all that background data, just denoises your entire thing, and that's part of that minimalist kind of. Not that I'm aspiring for minimalist principles, but it's so nice when something is clean and tidy, and it lasts for about 14 seconds for some reason. And maybe up to 17 or 19 seconds. But anyway, I've been doing that in Valheim. So the base is looking real good. That's a little tease for y'all. You want to come check out my base? I've been decorating. Yeah, I still got a lot more. I'm sort of saving the decorating and the exploring for the streaming, because mostly what I've been doing lately is just like real tedious cleaning. Who wants to watch a guy clean up? You know? Even a hilarious, fun fellow with a nice voice like me. All right. So, where are we going here? Oh, yeah. All right. Let's get into this news. Diane Feinstein died. I'm not going to just dwell on this. We're the Diane Feinstein headquarters here on the internet, where America gets its Diane Feinstein news. You can check the channel for other Diane Feinstein videos. She died. She worked right up until she fucking died. She probably died being handed a giant stack of money from a corporation. They really squeezed the blood out of that one. And she made herself incredibly rich over her time. I think she married some real estate dude. Just a complete ghoul. NBC doesn't like my ad blocker here, so we don't have a headline on screen. Ah, fuck. All right, so here, news report.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Savannah Guthrie. Good morning. We come on the air with breaking news. Senator Diane Feinstein, the longest-serving female senator in U.S. history, has passed away. She was 90 years old. Two sources familiar with the matter confirming that this morning.
Look,
Diane Feinstein,
that lady has a dangly cross earring.
Sources
I
familiar
always notice the dangly. Any earring where it dangles way past like normal physics. That's magic, man. That's wizard stuff.
With the matter confirming that this morning. Diane Feinstein, first elected in 1992, representing the state of California for more than...
Representing the corporations of the globe, not the state of California. She never looked out for California. She represented the state of global corporate dominance. She was a corrupt scumbag of the highest order. When they say speak no ill of the dead, they're trying to get you to not talk about the powerful people in the world. Or your parents, use discretion when you're giving a speech at someone's funeral or at the post-funeral. Don't call it. I almost called it a quinceanera. Party? What's a wake? What do you do? Anyway, this lady supported corporate policies at first. And so that means she harmed people. And that's one of the things that I've been dialing in a little bit lately is not that it's so obvious. It's just right. But like anytime a worker or like a regular person's life is improved because of a policy, that's a hit to a corporation's bottom line. Generally, that's why they resist all these regulations that protect us. American bodies are flooded with chemicals, PFAs, food ingredient shit, chemicals that are in your tooth, all this stuff all over that are banned in Europe because our government is bought off by bribing people like Diane Feinstein to prevent any kind of regulation to protect your body because they make a little bit more money doing that. And then they also regulate the way lawsuits are allowed and shit like that. So, but it's just such a obvious, stark truth and also an argument for why we need to end this stupid fucking destructive system that when a person's life is improved, a corporation makes less money. And because they can own the government, they make it so that in order to make more money, they worsen people's lives. They make you work longer. They make you store their chemicals in your body. They make you have to deal with, those are the main things. It's just like the employment practices and the culture that you don't get to go see any health care because your job doesn't have any benefits. But if you quit working, you go hungry and you can't afford to live somewhere. So you keep working through pain until you're permanently disabled, or at least hopefully I can get some. I really have no idea if I'll ever be okay with my hands. I'm pointing at my wrists for those of you that aren't watching on YouTube. All right, let's just keep going.
30 years. She faced persistent health problems in recent years.
Yeah, she's been dying for 40 years. She was 90. You start dying at age 50. She was looking pretty bad. There are some 90-year-olds that are like, damn, she's still going to the casino. Look at her. She's cruising around. She's got a boyfriend. Then you go, man, I hope they're not fucking. And then you go, hey, you know what? I hope they are. I hope they are. And I'm going to try not to imagine that, but good for them. Horny 90-year-olds. I don't want to be horny. I hate being horny. It's fun when you can do something about it with someone else. That can be very, very quite evolutionarily satisfactory. Your instincts are always applauding, going, all right, this is cool. But it's so boring. I mean, actually, no, it's not. That's not the word. It's just too much. I don't want to be a horny old person, especially. I'm already a gross, horny old person, I feel like. But let's get rid of that. Why can't I turn that off? If Elon Musk invents a cookie, why did I say cookie? A chip to put in your brain, a chocolate cookie for your head that goes, and then you don't have to feel horny. Fine. So what if I have to listen to him talk? Maybe the way that works is just him reading something. That guy, that fucking moron, that stupid, deranged idiot, just turning your libido into mush, just like he's done to Twitter.
Leaving quite a legacy as well. NBC's Andrea Mitchell with a look back at her life.
Oh, Andrea Mitchell.
Diane Feinstein, a leading
married to Alan Greenspan. Don't imagine that.
Woman senator for generations, whose political career in California was launched by tragedy. November 1978, San Francisco Mayor George Moscone and Board of Supervisors member Harvey Milk were assassinated in City Hall. Then Board of Supervisors President Diane Feinstein tried desperately to save...
Okay, we're not going to see, are they going to get to the Confederate flag thing where she flew the fucking Confederate flag outside City Hall and repeatedly put it back up after activists eventually cut down the pole? No. Here's the replacement. Laphonza Butler. So Gavin Newsom, boy, he's been on a tear lately, just ripping down things that are being passed. Like when the state is passing, the legislator is passing like fairly decent. I mean, obviously, I want someone to pass like the socialist utopia, like, but you don't do that all at once. None of this is anywhere even close. That's just ridiculous. You can't. What the fuck am I trying to say? There's no major flip. So it's like when I like celebrate any like little bit of progress, it's worth celebrating, but you're still operating within like marginal differences within this horrible capitalist superstructure. So yeah, obviously, because why am I even talking about this? But sometimes it seems like people get upset about any kind of acknowledgement of progress because it doesn't get us all the way to where we have to be. But none of this stuff is ever going to flip in a big switch. The only way to flip a huge switch is a violent revolution, and those take 2 or 3 generations, and they kill tons and tons of people. It's not going to be a thing in this country. I think a violent revolution, as much as sometimes it seems like it's called for, like what kind of people, Americans especially, are okay with tolerating the kind of bureaucratic and social murder that is constant in our society, the stress that we are exposed to, the all very preventable. Americans should be taking action in applying combustion processes to their Capitol buildings and such and such. But any kind of realistic proper revolution such as that would mean millions of people killed. It'd be a war. It'd be horrible. It'd be not. There's a lot of So calling for that is fun to think about sometimes, but it's also like that's not. What the hell am I even saying? There's just no switch that gets flipped. So any little bit of progress is actually good. Although sometimes they engineer that progress so that it can at least park it in a cul-de-sac so that they don't have to actually, or they're always planning on, this stuff gets complicated in a lot of ways. But what the hell am I saying? We're going to get to it a little bit later, but Gavin Newsom has been vetoing striking or unemployment protection for striking workers. He has a few other things. I'm not actually going to get into it in much detail today. I have decided I'm going to at some point for sure. Why did I get into that? I don't know. Let's just listen to this. Oh yeah, so he had promised he was going to replace Feinstein with a black woman, which is good. Oh shit, hold on, see, I'm getting a phone call. All right, hang on. Hey, it was just the tire light. It wasn't even the check engine light. Wow. Which I had that checked early on. I'd just been avoiding it, waiting for it to get really bad. And apparently the car's in fine shape. I do need tires within, okay, just heard a cat meow. I do need tires soon, he says. So good. That's not going to be fucking ridiculously expensive. I don't know what she's meowing. I don't know what she wants. All right, so we'll wrap up the Feinstein coverage, and then I'll head over there, and I'll pick it back up when I get home.
It's just 2 days.
Oh, yeah. So Gavin Newsom, I'm for that. Yeah, let's get some more representation. I think that's a good thing. Let's go for it. People on my side of the aisle wanted Barbara Lee, but of course he went with a lady who lived in Maryland and is a head of Emily's List, and she's known as being a very effective fundraiser. And there's a whole bunch of, meaning she's already got the connections to take the corporate bribery. So they've just taken an incredibly corrupt corporate goon like Diane Feinstein, replaced her with a more representative corrupt corporate goon named Laphonza Butler. And this person has a history. If you watch the mainstream media, they'll talk about her labor leader. She was in the SEIU for a stretch, but what they usually leave out is her role in supporting Uber as part of the campaign to keep their labor force under control. There's this law called AB 5 that was passed in 2019, or it was signed in 2019 for sure. So that's an interesting part of the story there. And she also consulted with, so she's got this corporate backing, and she's as soon as you're on the side of Uber against the workers, you're scum. You're just another, that erases anything you've done in the past. I'm sure she's paid incredibly well. So not a shocker. I mean, obviously we would expect this kind of thing from someone from Gavin Newsom. Guy's been praising Reagan. Like, he's got a whole list of stuff he's been doing. That's just all terrible stuff. So here, this is Fox 11 Los Angeles.
After her death, Governor Gavin Newsom has made his choice to replace Senator Diane Feinstein. She is Laphonza Butler, a Democratic strategist and current president of Emily's List, an organization that supports Democratic women candidates.
Butler was also an advisor to Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign, and she is expected to be sworn in by Vice President Harris on Wednesday.
Oh, that's cool. Vice President Harris. Another corporate goon. I can't bring her up without bringing up when she was DA or made DA in California. She quashed an ongoing investigation into the Catholic Church for all the child abuse and the even words worse than abuse. For the algorithm, I'm trying not to say the word grape. On TikTok they say grape. Yeah, there was an investigation happening, and victims were seeking restitution, and it was like a formal thing within the previous DA's office. And Kamala Harris came in and said, "What? I'm not going to go after the Catholic Church. Those people are fucking. They got money and they got property. I'm a demon. I'm here to serve them." That's among the reasons I despise Kamala Harris. She's she's kind of flaming out in this role. She seemed like she had a fairly adequate ability to do Senate stuff as a senator. Questioning people. She's kind of known for that because she has that prosecutor. She has that cop badge. But she's just rotten. But this is the ties things together. This is some Rat King solidarity about to coming up here with the way Kamala Harris is connected to this lady who's connected to Uber. And also there's more information about Kamala's role as Uber, because her brother-in-law is a big Uber bigwig. Shocker. Wow. The tales are all intertwined with these ruling class types.
What is not clear yet is if Butler will choose to run for the seat. She has that option.
Okay, that is an important detail for California politics. So here she is getting sworn in. Well, she's walking in. Hey, that's Susan Collins. Hey, look, it's Mitch McConnell. Does he have any idea where he is? Call the KKK. I see one. Oh, he thinks it's his childhood in 1840. Well, the KKK emerged after the Civil War. I know, don't get all pedantic about it. Chuck Schumer's behind him. Oh, boy, can't wait to go home and have a sip. Oh, yes, that's my thing. I'm going to look at my mother's photo and have a nice piece of... Okay, I hate Chuck Schumer. His daughter's a big Facebook bigwig. All these people, man. Is it Chuck Grassley? No, he's even older than Mitch McConnell. He does tweets about Iowa farm culture. They're the most like, he talk like this. That's so. All right. So anyway, she's getting sworn in. We're walking up. Is she carrying the Bible? I have my Bible. There's Kamala Harris.
Raise your right hand.
Oh, she's talking.
And repeat after me. Or say, do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic? That you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same? That you take this obligation freely,
on my phone,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and
actually, I've got quite a lot of mental reservations. Everything is booked up until I get some treatment for my ADHD.
Faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which you are about to enter. So help you God.
I will.
I will.
Congratulations.
What if you said like you just stumbled your speech? Didn't that happen with Brett Kavanaugh? Or no, John Roberts said the wrong thing. Okay, sorry. Sorry, goofy memory. And then they're like, the Republicans questioned that it was illegal. It was for one of, I think, Obama's appointment. I don't know, something like that. Look, they did it. The corruption system. We're doing it. Corporations have another one. We made it. Look at these people. She's a good fundraiser. Oh, she's going to do a great job when I'm dead. That's Chuck Schumer saying that. Signed the paper. Okay. And then they give her employee badge. And they give her book of coupons to the brewery bowling alley down the way called K-Strike. I had to come up with something. Thank you. Look, they're doing, look behind, look, Chuck Schumer and Kamala. They're doing the two-handed grab thing. Although he's a desiccated old corpse, so she helps him up the step. Because it's bad for the cameras if he goes tumbling backwards. Although it would be great for ratings. Thank you, Chuck. We're gonna do it. We're gonna sell lots of laws to our corporate masters, aren't we, Chuck? That's right. All right, that's fun. That's fun. She got sworn in. Isn't that sweet? So here's her work with Uber. This is from the San Francisco-ist. I don't want to make the obvious joke there. I'm sure they're tired of hearing it. The headline, 4 October 2023. New Senator Laphonza Butler defends her work for Uber, plus the whole living in Maryland thing. So she, the mainstream news is just like, oh, look at this. We got a new lady. She's Emily's List. She knows how to give a speech. She's really comfortable around politicians and rich people. That's good. That's a professional fundraiser. Aren't we lucky? Blah, 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 blah. But then people go, well, wait a minute. She was part of this anti-worker controversy, or let's call it controversy, but this movement among corporations to prevent California from actually honoring proper employment classification laws for gig work and for other jobs. And so if we scroll down here, let's just start with her. She deserves to have her voice heard. She says, when I agreed to take on this role in serving, I knew that I was agreeing to do something incredibly difficult. Although I doubt she said that part out loud. That I was going to agree to step into the shoes of the leader who had taken San Francisco through some of the most traumatic times in its history. Yeah, Diane Feinstein dug the first grave back in 1794 when the first white person needed a grave. Late 1700s. San Francisco certainly was probably a much smaller city. That's my guess. I'll have to ask some of my urban planning friends. The traumatic time. So yeah, she did oversee the attempts by people who were not happy that the city of San Francisco was aggressively flying, including it was part of a display of flags, the Confederate flag, but they kept putting it up, and she prosecuted the guy they wanted to, it was just insane. Butler told the Chronicle, and so I agreed to do something hard, but the labor movement built me for hard things. The liberals in the world just go, oh, so it's labor movement. So good. My husband hires people. My wife was in labor for a little while. That's so. But then I like this editorial writing here though. Nice evasion, says the writer, who deserves credit. Joe Kukura, maybe. But the labor movement claim may be somewhat at odds with her consulting work for Uber during the 2019 AB5 controversy. This is a fascinating bill, this AB5 thing. I'm going to be talking about this in a good bit more detail after I already know quite a bit about it, but I want to do a little bit more reading. I want to make sure that I'm accurately assessing it. But that's very relevant to California workers for sure. And that means to workers all over the world, and especially America, because California being such a big state, people give a shit about what happens here. If it were its own country, it'd be like one of the bigger countries in the world. Where California legislators gave more employment rights and benefits to gig workers and rideshare drivers against Uber. Oh, little typo there. There's an R after in it. Okay. Against Uber's wishes. And very curiously, the Chronicle points out that Butler did not specifically say what her work on the measure entailed. Maybe Uber hired her to tell them to knock it off. Hey, Uber, don't do it. No, keep exploiting these people. Keep imposing this stuff. Oh, just a quick note. This is somewhat related, but check out the Seriously Wrong podcast interview. It's a great podcast overall, but they had Cory Doctorow on. It's SRSLY. It's like a goofy spelling of seriously. But you'll find it. They're pretty popular. But Cory Doctorow is one of my favorite dudes. He's a very accomplished writer. He writes fiction and nonfiction stuff, but he covers like tech and futurism and sort of stuff. Like, so if you're in my brain kind of person, I hope if you're watching this, you might be. But the interview he did on the Seriously Wrong podcast is so fascinating. He coined his term in-shitification about how internet companies sort of and then he just lays it all out. It's like in the first 5 or 10 minutes of the podcast. That show does these kind of long, kind of comedy sketch things. So listen to those two. They're fine. But yeah, they get to the interview, and he goes into that, and then he talks all about this. He just has a great way of breaking things down. He's one of those really smart intelligent people whose work is worth following. Cory Doctorow. It's Dr. O-W. Yeah, I actually did listen to one of his part of one of his books when I was doing the woodworking job on Audible, but I didn't get through it. But that's right. So he talks about how Amazon squeezes money out of vendors. Like he makes this interesting point about that we all kind of understand Amazon's horrible to their workers, or horrible to the local communities, they're horrible to the society in which they operate. But one thing that people don't talk about enough is how terrible they are to people trying to sell on Amazon, and the way that they affect monopolies. So they get a lot into monopolization, and that they've managed, because they have like this very sophisticated algorithm that changes the way it prices things, and it's all this under like, so he sticks his head under the hood of capitalism and gets into the granular details of like, so he's well researched and stuff, not just some fucking guy like me who just flaps his gums and is pretty sure he's right. But no, yeah, Cory Doctorow interview on Seriously Wrong is great. Yeah, that was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, then just finally, they asked him how he writes so much. He's written like 8 books, 10 books since the pandemic. And he's like, well, I deal with my anxiety and my emotional trauma by writing. So I write all the time. I was like, geez, man, that's smart. I should try that. That sounds pretty good. That sounds like so anyway, Seriously Wrong podcast with Cory Doctorow interview was really great. It connects to all the themes that I like talking about. And very curiously, the Chronicle pointed out that, okay, that's not what Butler. And then, okay, so here she is. I guess she was asked by the Chronicle. I've been very clear that they should have the protections of employment, Butler told the Chron. I've spent my entire career, nearly 20 years, in the labor movement, working to make sure that workers who wanted a union had the opportunity to have a fair shot to build one. My work on AB 5 was exactly that. Sure it was. Sure it was, Laphonza Butler, Senator. I'm sure you did. I'm sure that the giant corporation backed by huge venture capitalist demons paid you to make sure that workers had more power and access to their rights. I'm sure that's the truth. So this AB5 is actually fascinating. We'll jump back into that in a second here. Another mini controversy, though, just a little bit more information. She wrote, quoting from the article again, she wrote a supportive letter to a judge this past May on behalf of disgraced former LA City Council member Mark Ridley Thomas, who's looking at a 3-year prison sentence for corruption. Let's see what this link tells us. Oh, Eyewitness News 7. Hold on, we got audio.
Mark Ridley Thomas has been sentenced to 3.5 years in prison for his corrupt dealings while serving in government. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda has the story.
After years of investigations, court hearings, and being found guilty in a jury trial, Mark Ridley Thomas today learned his fate. He was sentenced to 42 months in prison.
We are deeply disappointed in the current state of affairs.
That's the son of the guy.
Related to proceedings in Mark Ridley Thomas's trial.
Ridley Thomas was convicted for voting in support of county contracts that would favor USC. In exchange, USC would use some of that money at a nonprofit run by Ridley Thomas's son, Sebastian. Marilyn Flynn, the former dean of the social work school at USC, pleaded guilty and was sentenced last month to 18 months home confinement. The prosecution says Ridley Thomas committed serious crimes and has not accepted responsibility and has shown no remorse.
Mr. Ridley Thomas was an immensely powerful politician.
Martin Estrada, U.S. Attorney,
who chose to violate the law to benefit his son rather than the public good. The defendant leveraged his political...
What about the public son? Just give the son to the public.
...clout, his ability to deliver taxpayer dollars to get a USC dean to deliver personal benefits to his son.
In court, Ridley Thomas said he does not believe he crossed the line into illegal conduct, and he apologized to his family and everyone who has supported him.
So he's going, do I have a big set of legs behind me? Visual joke. Okay, so she wrote a letter, Senator Laphonza Butler wrote a supportive letter supporting the guy who helped, who got caught. The detail that jumped out at me was that it was with USC, which just shows you just how like that's also a major part of that Rat King solidarity, is that the education institutions have gigantic piles of money. There's all these endowments. There's huge, they're giant landowners. There's a lot of money is flowing in the form of like rent for students and stuff. There's a whole, I mean, the way that we allow financialization of our education and the entire fucking system is just like all just flaming out in the wrong. And it's actually working as it's designed. It's not really flaming out, but it's just all bumping up against those entropic boundaries that the way I kind of conceive of stuff. And it's this churn. It's just big. So he was corrupt with some other, I don't know, maybe that's who that lady that pleaded guilty was, that was on the other side of that. But, and these jobs usually pay well. You know, if you're in the position to be corrupt, I understand someone who's barely getting by, or maybe they're only making 60 or something, and like maybe they just get tempted by something. I kind of get that. But these people all have like high status, pretty well paid jobs. But they still can't help themselves. They still got to try to squeeze it as best as they can. We just have a society that encourages this kind of criminality. So anyway, Laphonza Butler supported this dude. Or, you know, tried to not influence. I mean, people are allowed to. It is influence, but it's. I don't think it's necessarily bad. Where you can like offer your opinion to a judge in terms of asking for. To influence their decision on how much time they're supposed to spend in bars. If I ever end up being put away, I would hope that my wonderful listeners all write letters to my judge and say, he's a nice guy. He loves the cat even though he doesn't want the cat. Just do that for me. But here's what she wrote or says. In response, she said to the Chronicle, I would say to people to look for the humanity at every opportunity. He's a human, don't you realize? And if the world is insistent on judging us all on our worst day, redemption would never be possible. It's not like he had a freak out in a road rage incident, which would maybe not look great, but you can kind of understand someone has a stress meltdown on the highway and punches a little girl in the face who's just trying to buy ice cream because she thought you and your Tesla was an ice cream truck. What am I saying? But yeah, okay. So she tried to help the corrupt piece of shit. So, you know, they look out for each other. Rat King solidarity. A little bit about AB5, though. Gig worker, this is just, I'm not going to go too deep. This is 11th September 2019. September 2019, a critical month in this story. Gig worker wage and benefits bill passes both chambers of the legislature, likely to become law. I'm not going to read it all here. But the bill is now poised to become law. KPIX reports that employees and independent contractors bill was passed. Bill AB5 was passed in the state Senate Tuesday, and that the Los Angeles Times just reported that the state assembly approved it shortly before noon Wednesday. Governor Newsom said he would sign the bill into law, which he did. Shockingly, he signed something that actually improved conditions for workers. I doubt he would have this year. It seems like he's just been going crazy for it. But for their part, very much affected companies, Uber and Lyft, have immediately responded by slinging a combination of compromise offers and utter falsehoods. What? Hold on. Corporations driven... sitting on top of gigantic pillows of venture capitalist money from Wall Street and other VC scumbags around the world were being dishonest? I can't believe that. Well, we should lower their taxes. We should let them write all the rules, shouldn't we? Lyft has reportedly sent drivers an alert claiming that you may soon be required to drive specific shifts, stick to specific areas, and drive for only a single platform, such as Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, or others, which AB5 does not require. So they lied to their people. Lyft is also now claiming they'd be willing to give drivers paid sick leave and benefits, an offer they were not making prior to the bill's passage. Sometimes just the threat of a bill can also provoke some kind of response from these companies. Of course, they never have any intention. They don't give a shit. The more stress workers are in, the better these companies do, because that stress lowers leverage. That's basically all it comes down to. I see. This is the stuff I need to research a little bit better before I start flapping my gums. But I think what followed after AB5 was the Prop 22 campaign, which was also incredibly deceptive. I'm pretty sure. But here's the Rat King solidarity bit. For their part, Uber just wrapped up a conference call where Chief Legal Officer Tony West (parentheses who yes? Why did my who go so high? Who yes? Is Kamala Harris's brother-in-law. Oh, what? Famous Senator Kamala Harris, future Vice President of the United States of America, most powerful economy and military on the planet. Her, I'm going to guess, sister, maybe her brother's married to the guy. I don't know. Her sibling married to a Uber dude. And then Kamala Harris is sitting there swearing in a lady who worked for Uber. There you go. Where's her brother-in-law? Look at this John Oliver looking motherfucker back here. Where's her brother-in-law? Is he sitting in the back corner? Is he up on the rafters with the other vultures? Red eyes glowing, making money. This place is so fucking corrupt, man. This whole country. So yeah. Her brother-in-law is a big Uber guy. I just have a little headline here. Uber paid, let's see, Newsline, March 16th, 2021, by Caroline Spiezio. Sorry, Caroline, I'm sure I said it wrong. Uber paid CLO, that's Chief Limbo Officer, Tony West, Kamala Harris's brother-in-law, that's his full name, $12.3 million. That's a lot of money. I think that's legal. I think, chief legal officer. So chief legal scumbag at Uber Technologies. It's funny how a car that's just like just a replacing cab, short purchase transportation. It's a transportation company, but they're actually a technology company. Interesting, isn't it? I just remembered the Cory Doctorow. That's why. Okay. So he was talking in this Seriously Wrong podcast interview, and any other interview with Cory Doctorow is great. Look him up. Just Google his name, or I'm sure there's stuff on YouTube. He's one of my faves. I'm going to do that more. He kind of was not in a pedantic way. He explains things really well, but like he's very thorough, and he was kind of explaining feudalism and capitalism being kind of two different things, and he's sort of saying that like capitalists in the medieval times, or the sort of, I think that's like an outdated notion for this context, especially. But in the 1800s, late 1700s and 1800s, as things were coming up, he was talking about rentierism. So owning something allows you to make money because you can then charge money to use the thing you own without actually doing anything. And so the owners and the capitalists, so capitalism though is exploiting labor by using things that, so it wasn't really I'm not doing a great job describing it, but he referred to like Uber and Lyft as feudalist companies. Not really he wasn't saying they aren't capitalists. This was in no way a defense of capitalism, but it was an interesting distinction that I had not heard before. And coming from him, someone I really respect, it's a concept I felt compelled to share in my podcast. But that like they're feudalist because they make, that's right. So the serfs and their feudal lords, the serfs owned their stuff. They didn't own the land on which they worked, but they owned their shit. And they were required to then fork over a chunk of what they produced on their land to their feudal lord in order for the protection. It was essentially a mafia system because those guys, the feudal lords, were the ones who organized the violence systems of that kind of state power. They weren't quite necessarily a full-on state as we think of it at the time currently. And there was some tension between the gilded landowners, the gentry of those times, and their like capitalist sort of power structure that was emerging as factories and as other things, as capital sort of became an ascendant part of the aristocracy. So the aristocracy, I mean, it's not all just like one big switch. Why do I keep referring back to one big switch? But so he was kind of saying that like like Uber and whatchamacallit, Lyft and these companies, they're feudalist because the worker owns the capital. They don't actually own the capital of the car. If Uber owned the car that you use, then they're capitalists. It's sort of a slight distinction, but it was the way he was describing it was really interesting to me because I love learning these nuances and such. So like the fact that the worker provides the car, you own the car, you pay the insurance, you pay for all the upkeep and the maintenance. So you actually own the capital, but just like the feudal systems of the serfs and the lords, the serf owned their machines, or they're not, their tools. They're probably animals, I suppose. I imagine there was maybe some times where maybe they didn't or not, but they owned their stuff that they used to produce stuff on the land that the lord then got the benefit of without having to do the work. So yeah, he was just differentiating that. That's why I thought of that interview with Cory Doctorow. Plus, I kind of want to maybe do like a thing where I like share stuff I listen to during the week because I'm always listening and watching shows and stuff, and it might be kind of a fun way to talk to the audience. Maybe something else I can do. Yeah. So anyway, Tony West was paid $12.3 million, mostly in the form of stock awards, in 2020. So that's a lot of money. That's a pretty good money. And your sister is a senator, former DA, who's future vice president, possible future president. Seems like the Democratic Party, or at least the machinery of the liberal sphere, doesn't really. She certainly seems to be not ready, or she's always saying crazy things or showing her colors as a terrible retail politician. Her strengths seem to be like being I don't know what I'm trying to say, but these clips of her constantly go around where she just like is speaking complete word salad Tomorrow is the time to do things today that we didn't do today because the present is before tomorrow. And if we don't do it tomorrow, we have to do today's tomorrow. What I just said made more sense than anything she's ever said. Not ever, but those clips that go around of her, they're all funny, and maybe we'll get back to them eventually. So we'll just read one more paragraph here. This is not new information, but I have a nice voice. West, who is also the brother-in-law of U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris. Oh, wait. I'm sorry, the timing is tripping. Oh yeah, 2021. So she was the okay. I was saying she was a senator at the time. Who knows? He probably worked there while she was a senator. Led Uber's successful efforts to get legislation passed last year that cemented its driver status as independent contractors. Okay. Yeah, I think this is Prop 22 then. Yeah. Okay. See, this is the bit where I need to get that timeline worked out. And I will. For good reasons. So, what the fuck? Rat King solidarity in action. All right. What have we done here? All right. I'm going to go get my car. Got to run a couple of errands. But I'll come back. And then we will pick up and resume. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know why I'm saying goodbye because I'm going to edit this part. So, I'll be back after I go get my car. All right. Bye. We're back. No charge. What the fuck? It's amazing. I'm not going to say the place. I feel like I should or something. But yeah, they're getting more business out of me. I did get a price for tires, $600 something for the next time. But man, they didn't charge me shit for today. And they fixed up my, they got rid of that light. Damn, that is just some good old classic customer service right there, okay? You don't get that in other countries. No, but it's really great. So what a relief, because, you go into one of these things when your income is real spotty, say that's putting it fucking mildly. I'm only lucky enough that I could be like, Dad, I need my car. my dad, now that he's the father of an autistic kid, he's like, all right. I mean, it'd be weird if he's like, no, you're going to have no car. That would be strange, wouldn't it? But yes, I feel guilty that I have a dad who helps me with my car. And I also feel sad about the station of life I'm at where I need that kind of help. But both of those emotions are not deserved or warranted. Yet they exist because that's just the way our kooky brains work sometimes, isn't it? I also feel a lot of gratitude. And I cry when I think about my dad and gratitude. See, there I go. God damn it. But no charge today. So I'm that's awesome. And I'll definitely be buying some tires when I need some. I almost want to just be like, just sell me one tire. You deserve something today. Give me one tire. Give me and I'll go find a stick and I'll roll it home. Like the old timey boys used to do when they had fun. Back when boys were boys and girls weren't allowed to have fun because they were cooking meals for the boys. Liberty. Am I right? Okay, let's move it forward. Thank you for tuning in to the show, by the way. I feel like I am in peak slop these days. Everything is real asunder in my sunder dome. So, I just have a bunch of shit bookmarked. Let me give you a little quickie preview here that's showing up. And until we get to the Palestine-Israel situation, which is I'm basically just going to be saying how horrible it is that we live in a world that's built around violence and how violence equates to safety in our fucked up planet, and that we need to abolish the concept of owning the earth, of private ownership of the earth. We need to be more responsible. The people in charge of this fucking world at all stations, I would argue, are not living up to the responsibility that we bestow them, or the responsibility that their luxury and wealth and power should denote, if that's even the right phrasing. So that's essentially the TLDR of what I'm going to be saying about all that. It's just so terrible that innocent and people get traumatized at every stage. So, okay. And it's probably going to, okay, we'll get to that. So I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive later in a different episode when I get all the clips and shit together. But Gavin Newsom has just been on a fucking tear vetoing stuff that would be beneficial to others. There was a disability. Yeah, one of them was a law providing hearing aids for people under 21. He vetoed that. He fucking vetoed disability assistance to help people who need hearing. So anyway, we'll get more to that stuff. Here's a tweet. spineless. The person describes this as Lindsay Daughtry. I don't know where this video came from, but just a quick 16-second thing. On the heels of a summer of strikes where workers are being pushed out by employers who find it okay to starve them out. That was part of their explicit intention, was to starve the workers into homelessness and deep despair and hunger in order to give themselves more leverage, in order for these billionaire fucking companies, led by these 100 millionaire, billionaire assholes, just evil. Just right back to that thing I was saying earlier about when we have an economy that's built around stress being converted into currency, stress being converted into yachts, stress being converted into 4th, 5th, 6th homes, stress being converted into the security that they gain, that they hoard from the gigantic piles of stocks that they all get to own. And it's a direct correlation between pain, suffering, stress, worry, fear, and all that money, all that control. It's all about leverage, as always. So it's just a sick system. This is like, it's great that the union won, and it seems like the writers have been pretty happy with the deal. Like, it was ratified like 99% or something like that. Very good exercise of where the real power should be and is, but it sucks that we still, no matter the fundamental structure of it being a stress-based economy, is the chronic despair is the root function of our economy. It's the root function of the ownership class's high amount of leverage, because their ownership gives them, I keep using words I already said. It gives them access to violence and coercion, which is just a slower form of violence. So, all right. So back to this tweet. This is another disgrace by Gavin Newsom. Striking workers deserve UI benefits because they earned it. In short, here's a video. And then I'm not sure what this is. But...
They're not ready. We deliver America. Logan, earmuffs. Fuck Gavin Newsom!
That's right. They start chanting. Okay, so fuck Gavin Newsom all the way. You know, he seems to be positioning to run for president, or at least be the backup. He's definitely on the short list of people that could step up when Biden goes flaming out, or if Biden slips on a toilet peel. I meant to say toilet paper, but I said banana. Okay. Fuck Gavin Newsom. This guy's are functioning. He's in America, he's a liberal Democrat, but in any kind of assessment, he's a conservative piece of shit, meaning like he seems to be always coming down on the side of the corporations, polluting the world, polluting the planet, taking power away from people who deserve it, taking power away from people whose labor creates all the wealth that these people enjoy. During the early months of the COVID, Jesus Christ, I'm sweaty. I just walked like over a block. It was multiple blocks. Yeah, car doesn't need any repairs. It's fucking awesome. But during the early parts of the COVID thing, he was caught no mask at a restaurant called the French Laundry, which is like probably like feels like dirty for rich people to go, oh my God, I'm in the laundry. Normally the staff does the laundry, but here I am eating snails. Just like the staff. Aren't we rich? Just rich fucking piece of shit kind of restaurant. The world I would build, there would be so many amazing, traveling would be awesome everywhere you go. Because if you limit the size of companies, I didn't even say we eliminate companies. I don't know. I think it's too simplistic to say no companies at this point. I'm for collective ownership and worker control, but organizations of human beings doing things for the benefit of others doesn't necessarily require the elimination of companies. It certainly would probably be fundamentally rewriting the concept of a corporation for sure. But you would have so many people that would be able to follow their dreams to create cool restaurants and to serve interesting food and to provide for their community and to live good lives based on that and to develop the nourishment of community requires time. It requires people to be able to settle into a place, into a career or a job, or because I want to convert the world from a work cult into a relaxation cult. And then we can work on how nutty we are. We're all nutty about work because they made being alive expensive. And none of us has ever met a person whose parents weren't melting down about money virtually every day of their life, or abandoning them so that they could go work for somebody to make money. the neglect that's inherent in a work cult like America, like a Western capitalist society. Although I definitely would take some of the European countries' versions of it for sure over ours. But that's just a chronic abandonment to children. So anyway, point being, we wouldn't just see Applebee's and Subway and what's the other one? Shoney's, Waffle House. Those workers need a union, don't they? But we wouldn't just see the same goddamn businesses everywhere you go and you travel. Yes, there's localized regional businesses. I know that. There's like unique little spots, mom and pop ownership. That thing still exists. But the world I'm talking about is one where that is the focus. That is the engine of the economy is localized control and localized benefit. Using the entire agricultural system would probably be revamped in that way. We still need to produce a shit ton of stuff, though. We still need to have all kinds of machinery employed, but all for the benefit of a world where dignity is centered and living in harmony with the planet is centered. Actually, that I gotta maybe the Seriously Wrong guys would be. I know they did an animation thing for their called Papa and Boy, but anyway. One of the things in that Cory Doctorow interview, they were talking about, it just went away. God damn it. I knew it was really relevant and you were going to totally be impressed with the way I said it too. Fuck. Gone. It's just gone. I can see it. It's like having a bird shadow pass over your brain. Okay. Well, anyway, good podcast. Go listen to it. Good stuff. They covered a lot of ground. But they talked about monopoly stuff a lot. So like these mega corporations. So I'm for pruning the big, keeping things small, antitrust enforcement, et cetera, et cetera. Antitrust enforcement is just the start of the one I would like to build. But when you limit the sizes, and maybe there's certain exceptions where because of economies of scale, the collective state nation, which is another thing that we need to work on getting rid of, the concept itself, the concept of nations needs to become a relic. That's a sign that we've actually entered a much better phase of humanity, in my opinion. It's insane that 200 yards on one line or another can make a crazy difference in the way a person's life turns out. It's just really fucked up. So the limiting things. So there might be exceptions. Decisions should be made democratically. Not always the best decision is made democratically, but if democracy as a fundamental principle is expanded to greater and greater realms, because we limit it to our sham political. We're just like, oh yeah, well, everybody, we live in a democracy because we vote. Well, it's not really. They don't actually. The representatives don't answer to the people's votes. In some ways, you could argue slightly, but that's mostly a facade. There's studies that have shown that the economic interests and the policy interests of the very, very wealthy correlate with actual political activity, like at the lawmaking stage, at the actual thing. It's especially within the court application, because courts verify or invalidate laws as part of the churn of a nation that is where its laws are being challenged, and so courts play a huge role in that. But the vast majority of people's interests are never represented. Nothing changes no matter what their preferences are in terms of how they vote or what they advocate for. So it's a sham democracy, but we still call it a democracy in the political realm, and we don't apply, and we venerate the concept of democracy, but the bosses of the world are terrified that you'll impose democracy in their workplaces, in their dictatorships, in their satanic mills. Another book, and actually a guy I'd like to talk to, Brian Merchant, LA Times tech columnist, just wrote a book called Blood in the Machine, about the Luddites, which is a fascinating. If you think you know unless you already know what it really was, the story of what a Luddite is in our lexicon is someone who doesn't use technology or resents it or can't understand or too stupid or they're behind or they're against progress. Couldn't be further from the truth. What actually happened was the displacement caused by the rise of capitalist factories in the early 1800s led to a group of people banding together to fight it as they were able to at the time. Really interesting stuff. Completely fascinating shit. The entire 18th, 19th century, 1800s was a critical pivot for the way humanity's course was going on. And it's really sad and unfortunate that the capitalists won this argument. This it wasn't even an argument. It was imposed via violence and war and state divisions and ginned up, not even that's not even the right phrase. Racial divisions, which the concept of racial division was introduced on behalf of the capitalist class and on behalf of the ruling class people. Anyway, I'm getting a little afield of what I was trying to say. But so democracy is so wonderful, we should be putting it in everywhere. Although it would be annoying to vote every single time you do something, so you choose representation and you do things like that, and you have accountable leaders who are democratically held to account. And okay, the leader guy gets to have a better house than me, but everybody's life is pretty cool. That's all we got going for. As I say, yes to shitty work, no to bad jobs. Okay, we're not going to get rid of shitty work, but we can get rid of bad jobs. I feel like if I went on Joe Rogan and he said, "What is socialism?" I'd say, that's what I'd say. I'd say yes, shitty work, no bad jobs. So we can eliminate bad jobs. Bad jobs are a human decision. Having to scoop poop up and dig ditches and shit and stuff like that. Having to go fly to be a guy on a helicopter who's fixing electrical wires. I'm not saying it's a shitty work, but I don't know. Imagine you get paid decently for that work. But the bad jobs are what the bosses do. That's what I say. Your stress, their yachts. I'm saying your bad job, their yachts. They keep it hard. They make you tired. They break your bodies, and they refuse to allow you to even see a doctor to get treated for that. They have motherfuckers like Gavin Newsom vetoing striking protections or unemployment benefits for striking workers. And that is actually something in 2 different states. I think I saw something about it being in New Jersey, somewhere else, I think. So there's already precedent for it. But that's a gift to the bosses. That's keeping the jobs bad. That's making it so that the leverage goes down. And this is after the strike ended. The threat of it might have contributed to the bosses relenting. But there's still strikes going on. The hotel nursing or hotel workers are on strike in a big way. The UAW strikes are fascinating to watch with Sean Fain. The actors are still striking. They're still working at it. So the WGA is supporting them. The solidarity among the different unions is one of the more inspiring things that I've seen, at least in a world where inspiration is really hard to come by. And my experience with the Young Turks union organizing drive is a story that I wish more people really knew the truth of, how that happened, because they were not honest with their audience about how that went down. All right, so next one. Oh yeah, the Republican debate. I mean, I don't know. This is just fucking shit for my show. I mean, I just went through some bookmarks that I had and I don't even know what this is. Mike Pence seems to say something stupid here.
So Obamacare, right now, it is more popular.
Look at his face. Sorry, look at that fucking phony. What an actor. He's just always got that furrowed brow. He's projecting calm, studiousness, forthrightness. He's the lodestar guy. He used the word lodestar. Well, Megan, I've got a lot of experience. When I was negotiating with Putin over how do we hide the GOP's infatuation with an insistence on converting America into a Russian-style religious oligarchy like Russia. That's why we like him so much. Look at this fucking phony.
Than ever. Why should Americans trust you if you become president to fix that? Or is Obamacare?
The previous president sent a mob to hang me. That makes me qualified. I'd be more impressed if... Sorry. I'd be more impressed if he survived the hanging. What if they actually got a hold of him? And then the gallows broke? That'd be a fun woodworking video, wouldn't it?
Here to stay.
Well, first, let me speak to the mass shootings issue, and then I'll answer that question. It's an important one, Dana. Look, I'm someone that believes that justice delayed is justice denied.
Ooh, I do agree with that. Mike Pence. What if I would turn into a Mike Pence guy?
And as a father of 3, as a grandfather of 3 beautiful little girls,
little gross. The world is beautiful. We should use that for people. Either we have to commit it to children, or to people who we have sex with. That's not a good bit. There's probably more. But it is weird to call little kids beautiful. Your daughter's so beautiful. I mean, I know context and tone. Now I'm in real creepy territory. I'm sorry. It's just weird. I just find it weird when people use the word, like Seinfeld covered this topic well when they did how the Elaine Venice was dating a guy who said she was breathtaking, and then he saw a baby and he described the baby as breathtaking, which is it's a very funny premise. It's even making me smile slightly.
I am sick and tired of these mass shootings happening in the United States of America. And if I'm president of the United States, I'm going to go to the Congress of the United States. And
what's he going to do? Let me see. Oh, I know what he's going to do. He doesn't want children to be murdered in school. He's tired of it. He's had enough. I've had enough. Thousands of dead children, piles of bodies, scooping their body parts up from huge weapons with immense velocities that shred through their tiny organs. It's enough. We're going to get the guns. We're going to pass red flag laws so that people with the violence in their past can't have access to violence machines. We're going to do extensive background checks. We're going to require very thorough training and licensing. Now, I'm not even saying he's banning the guns in this scenario. See, like I don't think you can flip the switch on banning guns, but I think you can, like almost like cigarette education. Like, hey, everybody, these are really bad for you. We should let's try to steer the culture away from violence being a source of security, preparing for violence being a source of security. The prepper industry is booming. People getting ready for the end times. A lot of the right-wing shows, the religious TV shows, the Alex Jones types, they're selling buckets of apocalypse food. They're making all kinds of money off of all this fear. But just the fact that people are rationally getting their go bag ready and arming up their buildings and making sure their homes have cameras and guns and we have a weapon at the door. I think about this stuff all the time. I mean, not really all the time, but I'm saying like we all have to think about that. We all have to be ready in case we have to fight someone off. But the prepper industry and all that stuff, isn't that a sign? Shouldn't we look at that and say, hey, humanity, you're going the wrong direction. What kind of future are we heading for? Like, it's like we're on would be a funny animation or something, but it's the super wealthy are all about their luxury bunkers and their escape yachts. They're trying to fly to Mars. That's never going to happen. It ain't going to fucking happen. They're going to do all this stuff. They're doing all this stuff to survive things when the zombie apocalypse hits, when the pandemics hit, when everything goes to hell. These guys all have escape plans. They have all these. There's a whole industry in New Zealand building out these bunkers. They have all this stuff. There's some I think it's a fascinating topic too. But that's all just a sign that we're on an airplane, and the pilot opens the door and is sweating and looks terrified and is as quickly as they can putting on a parachute, and it jumps out the window or the door. It would be funny to see someone climb out of an airplane window. Jumps out the door, and we're just here on in the airplane going, "Oh my god, did I vote for this? I don't think did we. Are we? So this is where we are." Anyway, so my point. Let's try to swing this back towards Mike Pence. He's about to announce some common sense gun laws, stuff that would not eliminate the gun death epidemic in America, but would reduce it. We could do a lot to reduce this stuff. When I think about the gun argument, it's this simple. What's your number? How many gun deaths are you okay with? Mine is 0. Let's work back from there and try to figure that out. If we got down to only 10,000 people killed by guns, even at the current ratios of suicide, usually that's roughly 2/3, murder, and then they call it accidental, but those are actually gun negligence deaths. There's no such thing as a gun accident. There's only gun negligence. But if we got that number down to 10,000, that would be a 40,000 death reduction a year. Currently, I think we're cooking for like 50K. It keeps going up. But if we got it down to 10,000, man, that would be an immense improvement. And it would take quite a lot of healthy and smart, effective gun laws, including enforcement, which those words I just used will never apply to how America approaches this problem. But maybe this guy saw the light when his life was flashing in front of his eyes. His life just being the frown of his pastor and his mother, all that just, Just this traumatized little boy, Mike Pence. Mikey P, they called him. Little traumatized Mikey, they said. That's his light flashing before his eyes. Pushing a stick around with a tire. I mean, the other way around. So I'm sure he's got something common sense to say about how he wants to fix the gun laws or take down to just end the mass shooters. America does not give a shit about its children. Okay, here we go.
A federal expedited death penalty for anyone involved in a mass shooting so that they will meet their fate in months, not years.
That's his solution. That's how he wants to protect the children and their schools. The kids who even though the likelihood is low in a percentage kind of way, in a statistical way, I don't know the exact numbers, but the vast majority of kids don't experience a shooting, which is almost sounds like you're trivializing it. It should be zero. But even but for those who do, it's horrible and traumatizing, and it sticks with them. But what we do is we take the violence of a shooting and we boil it down to sort of almost like a vaccine model, where it's like a light version of the illness so that it causes your immune system to sort of have a readiness for it. But we dose every child with the fear. We bring in cops to simulate the shooting. We make them practice hiding. There's companies solving problems by building new equipment, selling bulletproof backpacks, bulletproof stuff, coming up with there's this wall thing that turns into a safe room. So capitalism's descending on this issue, and we're dosing every kid with the violence of a school shooting, even if they never were going to experience one anyway. And just knowing that it's possible, having to go to school, the fear parents have to deal with. Whether it's justified or meaning whether they can calibrate their fear precisely to the danger, but the fact that it's even possible, and it's not just possible in America though, it happens every single year. Multiple mass shootings at schools at least. And this fucking asshole's solution is to just kill the shooter quicker. We're not going to kill him in years. We're going to kill him in months. That'll deter all the people who commit these acts, who are driven to some kind of terrible mental place where this is the thing that they think they need to do before on their way out. Whatever the agonizing mental space of a person who is about to commit a mass shooter. That's also the tragedy of it too, is that we don't just the weapons themselves are a major contributor, but it's the psychological conditions in which loneliness and disconnection, and now we got these phones and social media, and just growing up is tough, and growing up with stressed out parents, growing up with people dealing with unresolved issues of their own, and ending up at a place where you're influenced certainly by internet factors into committing these acts. And he just says, "Well, just kill him faster." So he's appealing to the bloodlust that he knows his audience. This is what they like. They want vengeance. They want bloodlust, punishment, and torture, and slaughtering somebody, killing somebody on behalf of justice is about the psychology of the person committing it. It's not about preventing future victims. This guy loves it. I'm sure he gets money from the NRA. He gets money from gun manufacturers, because they make more money whenever these things happen. Solving gun violence would mean that his donors would have to figure out another way to make money off of death. And America will always make that easy. They could become a health insurance executive. Biggest mass murderers in society.
It is unconscionable that
Here, let's hear it just again. Backing
in a
up.
mass shooting so that they will meet their fate in expedited death penalty for anyone involved in a mass shooting so that they will meet their fate in months, not years. It is unconscionable that the Parkland shooter, Ron, is actually going to spend the rest of his life behind bars in Florida.
Can you believe that? We should kill. The solution to violence, he thinks, is violence. It's not going to deter shit. It's just bloodlust. I would myself, if someone killed somebody close to me or whatever, I could kill that person. I don't know for sure. I'd probably be pretty traumatized by doing that. But like, I could imagine killing. I understand the killing, the vengeance killing. I understand the impulse very much. It's actually pretty satisfying to think about sometimes. But it's also an emotional reaction. And when you're talking about a government initiating it, a government imposing it, a government operating under that, you're introducing a whole lot of other factors. And it doesn't take much to be like, well, yeah, that's pretty barbaric, actually, that we're a government that does that. You know, someone who shoots up, I don't think like someone who kills a whole bunch of people, I'm okay with preventing them from having freedom for the rest of their life. You could even persuade me into other versions of, you know, the prison structure here is insane. But I don't think you have to segregate very violent people who do commit acts like that. I'm for a totally different model of prison stuff. That's a whole nother topic that's been going on, but I've been seeing some talk about in terms of where people come down on that. So anyway, it's all he wants to do is just hurt more people. He just wants to crank up the violence dial somewhere else, which will do absolutely nothing to protect the children of the country. And most importantly, he's protecting the profits of his donors.
It's not justice.
You hear me, Meatball Ron? How do you think they got those meatballs? Meatball Ron is I guess it turns out that's like a Italian derogatory. I don't think that's like a common one. I think it's a Trump invented thing. I never quite understood the whole meatball part. Was he photographed eating a sandwich weird? Because every politician has to eat on camera, everybody looks stupid when they take a big bite of something. But I guess that's like an Italian. It's like the dumbest. I'd never put that together until like this year, that calling someone that Trump calls him Meatball Ron because DeSantis, I think he's Italian or part Italian or something. We're all part Italian, okay? What if Elizabeth Warren came out as Italian? She's like, here's my new cookbook.
Have to mete out justice and send a message to these would-be killers that you are not going to live out your days behind bars.
That's it. Okay. That's it. That's the message to the would-be killers. People who are just in completely logical states of mind are going to hear this. Fucking sick.
We're going to meet justice in this system.
Justice. That's right. Justice delayed. Okay, fuck off, Mike Pence. All right, next one. Oh, this is a fun one. NASA. You guys know we're NASA headquarters here. They're heading to another asteroid. I reported on returning the sample, which I guess they're going to open tomorrow or something. The sample from Bennu, the asteroid, where they went and they landed on. It was like a big clustery, dusty ball of rocky bits. And if we ever chop down the Rocky Mountains, we got to call it the Rocky Bits. Did you ever think about that? I just did. So they're doing another one to the real prize. The real sweet, the meatball of the solar system. The metal asteroids.
There are probably 2 million asteroids in our solar system.
The reason that Psyche is unique is that it is metal rich.
It's believed that it may be a remnant core of an early planetesimal.
One of the ingredients that went into making our Earth, and one that we cannot see any other way. And it would be the first metal object that humankind has ever visited.
Studying the evolution of a planetary body is a detective story.
I think the only thing we know is that it's not going to look like what we think it's going to look like. And it's going to be really interesting, whatever we find.
Space is always more amazing than we can imagine with our minds.
Yes. Carve some houses into it. Move some people up there. Give them some cling clang tools. Get that metal, baby. The belters. We have to fight off the Martians and the Earthlings. That's an Expanse reference, guys. That's Expanse. You know that guy who's the actor in Chernobyl? He's in that. The Belters have this accent that this is how they talk because they live in space. They're the exploited workers. You know, they're dependent on the largesse that comes from the Martian, which are humans. They're just colonizers who colonize Mars. Not going to happen, by the way. 36 or 39% Earth's gravity. Ain't no fucking way. We ain't doing it. We're going to send some corpses onto Mars. We're going to burn up some really smart people's brains on Mars. That's what's going to happen in our lifetimes. That's my prediction. Mars is such a fucking hostile place. Let me just tell you something. But the metal stuff, this is all very, and this is another thing that if I ever get my wherewithal, my wits about me, I want to become like the guy who knows about capitalism in space, because there's like treaties and stuff, and they're already starting. We're going to have wars over the moon, maybe. But metal asteroids are. Well, I was actually quite glad to see this as a NASA-produced video, but that they didn't say there are $17 trillion of platinum in that asteroid, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for wealth. That's a resource to mine. Very, very cool in like a sci-fi video game kind of way. Like, you fly out there, zap the mine, zap the asteroid with a little laser, and then like it breaks apart and a little thing floats and it says, you have gained 14 neutrons of deuterium. But yeah, I mean, its stuff is useful. Metal's a cool substance. Metal's really useful. I got some metal around here, right? Actually, I think there's some. Look, I got metal right here. Look at this. It slices through stuff. Those were scissors. Did it get on the mic? That's a safety video right there. How did he die? Podcasting. Well, what? Well, he got stabbed in the heart with scissors. Those would have been some sharp ass scissors. It would have just maybe nicked one of my nipples. I could lose a few anyway. So it's awesome shit, man. Metals are cool stuff. There's a good market. Maybe we can tank the platinum market. Maybe they'll stop stealing all those catalytic converters and stuff. You could send up some impoverished people to mine it. No, I don't know. But okay, so either you get the metal and you bring it back. That's very expensive, obviously. Or you go and you put real rockets on the asteroid and you fly the booty home. Instead of opening the loot chest, you just put rockets on the loot chest and then you bring it home, and then the rubies and the gems and the emeralds and the coins that have Dracula's face on them spill out. That's how that would work. But we're going to let Elon Musk do that, probably. I'm just kind of just playing with this idea. Okay, I don't have any fucking news behind this. And they're going to take the asteroid. Now, orbital dynamics and orbital physics are way more fucking complicated than video games and movies have trained us. So you don't just fly over and park. It's not like driving to grandma's house. It's not like a long trip to Ottawa, okay? It's not like a long drive from London to Westminster, all right? Or I meant to say the other one, Winchester? What's the Manchester? It's not one of those. You got to go real careful, but we're good at that, actually. It takes a lot of science. A lot of smart people do that shit. But you could fuck that up. You could bring a giant asteroid loaded up with metals, and a rocky one would also be very bad too, but it's probably, in terms of density, a metal one is heavier, I would imagine. That's just my sort of amateur cosmologist. I should start calling myself an amateur cosmologist. I thought of a new term for myself, a term coiner. I just made that up. See? I have achieved my dream of coining terms. I'm a term coiner. World's first known term coiner. Right here. Pioneer. Pioneer coiner. Pioneer coiner. See? I made one up. I termed a coin. I minted it. All right? I do want to term coins. I mean, make terms. What if I had a stroke right there? Okay, so they could fuck up an asteroid, though. They could bring it here so that we could mine it. And looks like we didn't aim really well, or something goes wrong. So they have to be very careful. We're actually pretty good with that shit. In fact, we all know that the asteroids killed the dinosaurs, right? One cool thing. God, this is just terrible podcasting. One cool thing that you might not have understood about that, other than just the immensity of that. It vaporized. It hit the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, kind of like it both land and ocean. So it was actually a very, very bad spot. Hitting the land was worse than if it just had nailed the ocean. It still would have caused a global catastrophe if it had hit the ocean, but it might not have caused a full extinction, depending on where it hits on the Earth, because the Earth just is dynamic. It's not all the same in every single spot. So it hit a pretty good spot for a big boom. I mean, it would have been a gigantic thing no matter what. But where it landed, vaporized everything. I think it's up to, I don't know the words, or the numbers, but it's like 600,000 or not 600, but like 1,000 or 1,200. It was like all the way into North America. Everything was just cooked almost immediately. But that's not enough to like roast the entire planet. It doesn't just go around there. What happens is it ejects all this material up into space, and it doesn't just go flying off because Earth's gravity immediately is pulling everything down. So everything goes up into an orbit. It's kind of the way like a milky layer forms around a ball, if you can imagine that. And all this material going up into like very near Earth orbit, as it spread itself around, it rained back into the Earth, which means you had, I don't know the tonnage or something, but you had all this stuff, ejecta they call it, becoming meteorites into the Earth. So if you're on Australia or on the other side of the planet, after the hit, it took some time, like a few hours, I think. But eventually the sky would have started glowing, and all that heat from the now superheated rocks and little bits and shit that are falling back into the Earth, all that heat then would have just lit everything on fire below it. So the atmosphere became a cauldron from the material going up, circling, and then coming back in from the gravity. Crazy. That just blows my mind. It's just like, and then it's just the entire sky, the entire atmosphere basically just turned into the inside of a toaster for a second. And the dinosaurs went, ah, ah, and then that was it. Birds were still flying around. Alligators were tucked away into their mud. You know, they survived. Plants got all fucked up. Lots of trees got killed. Trees do pretty well. They, forests and like, stuff bounces back pretty well. Green stuff likes to grow pretty quickly from after fires. Not that that's like a good reason to just burn shit down. Yeah, and the big one's all gone. All the cool dinosaurs, man. All fucked them all up. Sucks. Really sucks, doesn't it? So what the hell are they saying? Oh, the other thing is they would maybe park an asteroid above Earth in a geosynchronous station in order to use the asteroid using some kind of automatic thing to build the tether, which is like the space elevator concept, although that also has a lot of problems. So good on you, NASA. Let's go learn more about these metal asteroids. I'm sure this is much to the capitalist class of the world. That's what's so dangerous about technology. It's not so much that the technologies themselves are what's dangerous, and certainly they're powerful, but what's dangerous about technologies like AI, like the machinery that they were imposing on the loomers and the fabric weavers of the Luddite era, is that the people in charge of the technology were of ill intent. We knew that they were devoted to money and to power, and to achieve that, they use technology to impose suffering and deprivation on the rest of us. That's what is scary about AI. It's that it's in the hands of people who are proven to be psychopathic and dangerous capitalists. So, okay, I don't give a shit about Taylor Swift. I almost called her Taylor Lewis. Joe Concha, I guess that must be a Fox News guy. This is Liz Power 1 on Twitter. I always feel like I'm supposed to give credit, but I just bookmarked this because this is where the video is. Joe Concha is horrified that Taylor Swift, who is 33, said, "Let's fucking go" during a sporting event. Okay, he's quoted here. "I'm sorry if I had heard that and my son was dating a girl who has a mouth like a Teamster." Really? That's it. Taylor Swift is very famous. I don't know fucking shit about it other than that people seem to be losing their goddamn minds. Sorry, I had to burp. And it's just like she's mega famous, and I've seen her do some stuff where like her manager or somebody, she's like in a break room. She's upset. She's having emotional feelings and stuff because there's all this pressure for her to make some kind of, and she stands on principle about speaking out against some kind of injustice. Like, I don't know if it was Iraq war. I have no idea. You probably know. I'm not trying to misrepresent anything, but the business guy is like, whoa, she's like, no. You could tell she's her power being the person there though, but she's feeling the pressure of having to pay a price for taking a moral stance on something. So I don't know, she seems like she's a pretty cool person from what I gather. I don't look for news. It's just that she's so famous it bleeds into everything, just like the fact that she's apparently dating a football player. I remember, I don't watch football on the weekends. I have watched a lot of football games. Went to a Bears game once. Fucking nightmare. Just made me wish I'd spent the money on a TV. Here we go.
Here you have Taylor Swift, probably just met Travis Kelce's mom for the first time. They're at the game last week, and she's going, let's effing go, right in front of her.
But Travis Kelce said that everybody in the booth that she was sitting in, his family, everybody said that she was so lovely.
Lovely, until, I'm sorry, if I heard that and my son was dating a girl who has a mouth like a Teamster, that's it. Either way.
That's just stupid. This guy doesn't believe that. This guy's a phony.
Couple's already more annoying.
Teamsters.
Doesn't believe that at all. If your mom, I've only ever had one girlfriend I introduced to my, did I even do that? Yeah. I was very late to in all the developmental stages of life. Also a hallmark of autistic people, especially late identified autistics. Not that it's unique to that, obviously. But yeah, I've only had one girlfriend. I've had a few others that probably elevated up to something a little bit like a girlfriend, you know, shorter engagements, but very not a guy who's had a normal life. And if I was dating Taylor Swift, honestly, it sounds stressful. Just having all the security. I mean, she's so rich. She's got like, she is way past that level, like the Dave Chappelle bit about, or maybe not. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting confused. But about just like people get so famous. Maybe Charlie Murphy did this about Dave Chappelle. I think it was just about people get so weird around really famous people that like somebody just would like come over and stand close by to Dave Chappelle. What am I fucking doing here? Jesus, Hank, stop it. Trying to talk about celebrities here. My mom would, and Taylor Swift lets a F word drop to my mom in my mom's little apartment, screaming at my mom because my mom's late. Let's fucking go. It's her first time meeting her. And she does this to my mom, and my mom flinches. I would still date Taylor Swift. She's rich. You know how much health care you can get when you have money like she's got? You can pay somebody else to sign all the papers for you and stuff. You don't do shit. The only way to get health care in this world, in America, is to have excessive wealth. It's amazing. When people say, I think we need to parse that out. This has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. The phrase, I can't afford healthcare, or I'm trying to afford healthcare. I need to be able to afford healthcare. You're not affording healthcare, just healthcare. You're break it down. What are you affording? You're also affording someone's third house. You're helping them make a car payment on their drunk granddaughter's Lexus. You're helping fund their investment in, or their contribution to, a think tank that's going to come up with some kind of justification for preventing workers from having power. You're going to fund some rich person's interests when you talk about, I can't afford healthcare. Because that's what I'm doing. I need to be able to save up money to go see a doctor. But I'm not actually going to save up money to see a doctor. I'm saving up money to contribute to a rich person's sixth house and maybe see a doctor, which then I won't know what the prices are going to be. They're going to bill me for a bunch of stuff and put me into further debt, shrinking my leverage, making me more dependent on the system. So affording healthcare is about helping rich people buy stuff that they don't need, or just store it away in the form of the pool of ill-gotten gains that we call the stock market. Fucking affording. Sorry, it has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. I'm just fantasizing about dating somebody who can pay for me to go to the hospital for my wrists. I'm so tired of thinking about my hands. Every single thing I do every day is I worry about them and I anticipate hurting them. Just look at your hands right now and just have a moment where you don't have to think about your hands all the fucking time. It's really annoying. I mean, you should care about your hands, obviously.
Follow up. Here you have.
This guy's just full of shit. They're just trying to make money on Taylor Swift. And honestly, that's probably why I'm doing this video. I can't fucking tell anymore.
Lovely. Until, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. She swore like a Teamster. So he's denigrating unions. Bet Taylor Swift's for unions. Look how happy the guy's mom is. You know, she's a good mom. She made the decision to risk the CTE. She might even have been aware of it and said, well, what if he makes it to the NFL? That's winning. That's winning. The best parenting, the best parents, the luckiest thing, the one thing all parents hope for is that their child becomes a professional athlete. Because that's a rad way to be a 50 or 60-year-old when your kid's like 25 or 22 and they're like making lots of money and you get to go to the game. Get to delay their trauma processing until they're wealthy and they're partial owner of a car dealership in their 40s. That's the goal in life, is to be a parent of a professional athlete. And this fucking is the lottery. This guy's dating Taylor Swift, world famous, super famous, and for a long time too. And I hope she helps take down the Ticketmaster industry, the monopolies on those things. All right, good for you, Taylor Swift. We all like that. I'm getting, oh God, this fucking guy. Okay, Matt Leck tweeted this. It's just a video of Jordan Peterson. I don't even know what the fuck he says here.
The more aggressive, psychopathic boys, they simply don't care. So they'll be the ones fathering your grandchildren in the future. If tomorrow's woman can find a man to sleep with at all, that'll keep the testosterone flowing. The more...
What? Whoa. He's younger in this. He's got a silver tie and a gray shirt, 50% gray, it looks like, and a black suit coat. And he's wearing some kind of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker hat here, I think. We'll go one more time. The more aggressive boys, they're going to be fathering. That's a really Canadian pronunciation there. Fathering. These dudes love their testosterone. That's why they look to lobsters for their inspiration.
Aggressive, psychopathic boys, they simply don't care. So they'll be the ones fathering your grandchildren in the future. If tomorrow's woman can find a man to sleep with at all, that'll keep the testosterone flowing.
I don't know the context. Weird, not to break this down too much or offer him any kind of logical processing that he doesn't really deserve, but he is an influential person. What does he mean by aggressive psychopathic? So it's like, that's just, are you talking about grape? Is he saying that they're just going to take when they want it? Or is he saying that those types are the ones women are attracted to? I mean, so much of this dude reflects to me a very, very distorted view on masculinity and on humanity and on femininity and on gender and all that good stuff. What the fuck, man? And then this comment here.
So they'll be the ones fathering your grandchildren in the future.
Oh man, my grandchildren. My grandchildren are already alive, but in the future, the aggressive psycho boys are going to be fathering them.
If tomorrow's woman can find a man to sleep with at all.
If tomorrow's woman can find a man to sleep with at all, there will be no men to appeal to the woman as long as the liberal cucks, like that beard-losing, wrist brace-wearing fuckface on that podcast Winners and Losers. I'm a high-quality lover. It matters to me if you get to your train destination. We both deserve to arrive at ours, you know? Mine's more of a downhill process, but we've got to go up the mountain for you, baby. I'm all about it. What am I doing? Oh, God, I'm so tired of being horny. This did not make me horny. I started out the day horny, okay? All right? I got a very successful resolution of my car problem, okay? If I had a wife or one of the 7 that I'm hoping for, we're going to do a mid-afternoon bang to celebrate not having to spend a bunch of money on a car, okay? Go to her work, sneak off into a local Little Caesars Pizzeria restaurant bathroom. All right? I want to put this on the internet. Jesus, what an idiot. Yeah, so they're always worried about whether women are going to sleep with men and this whole thing, and they want to, you know, all these dudes get infatuated with the Instagram model type women, and they think that they deserve the hottest girl. It's just all these fucking Looney Tune stuff. He appeals to the right wingers and the kind of hierarchy lovers and those that sort of seem to buy into this nonsense. Yeah, it's nuts. I do like this last sentence. This is why I bookmarked it, though. I want to make a drop out of this sound.
That'll keep the testosterone flowing.
That'll keep the testosterone flowing. Oh, yeah. I'm going to be releasing testosterone into the water supply. And that'll get you, Batman. You will go bald and grow back hair. And then I will be able to tell who Batman is. Yes. Unleash my hordes of lobsters. He's just the Penguin, but with lobsters. We should call him the Lobsterman. Right? Pretty good. Hire me, Hollywood. Oh, okay. I don't know how to transition to this. This is the terrible. Honestly, I'm way over an hour here. I'm going to end the podcast, and I've already talked about it a little bit. And none of this needs to be. I'm in completely the wrong headspace for this thing. You already know what I'm going to say. Violence is a form of safety in our culture, and it's horrifying what's happening to everybody who's experiencing this fear and this displacement. And I always come down in support of the side being oppressed and the side doing the oppression. But it also doesn't take away the amount of agony and horrors that are happening everywhere to everybody on all sides. But it's a lens towards how people think about, how people receive media is really kind of where I look at it. Yeah, we'll get back to this. I have a Michael Brooks. He says, maybe we'll just, oh yeah, wait, that's a different one. This clip went around. I found it on YouTube here, and maybe next time we'll play the first half. But we'll just let him finish what we're talking about. I don't know where the girls. There's somebody asking him questions, but as always, he had such smart, nuanced, thoughtful, and very well communicated things to say. And it sucks. It sucks. I met him at Jimmy's house, and I gave him a ride to his sister's house. And we kept in touch. He was a great guy. I was gonna go on I never scheduled. We never like got formal about it, but I told him I did stand up with Dave Rubin on a show once, and I just was going to talk about that story. So such a sad loss, and so many times in our politics too, stuff happens where people, and I see people saying the same thing, and I feel it a lot too. It's like, God, we really need Michael back. We need this. We really miss him. So here's another example of why that is.
And I don't support second-class citizenship and occupation and sieges for anybody, no matter who they are.
Are you not concerned about the binary between either condemning Israel entirely, being like also a stance that a lot of like very strong and notorious anti-Semitic people agree with, versus like, seeing this as more of a complex issue where it is wrong what's going on, and that there's also a way to do this, that Israel still exists and is supported?
So it's not a complex issue. That's the big thing. It's super simple. There's one group that has enormous power. It's the most powerful country in the Middle East. It's backed by the United States. It acts on another population of people with total impunity and is never held accountable for anything. So there's no symmetry in the relationship, period. And just as like a thought experiment, IDW people, if we know that if somehow a population of Jewish refugees ended up in West Bank and Gaza, and an Arabic government in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv had an open-air prison in Jewish Gaza, which they bombed with white phosphorus, they killed civilians indiscriminately, and they had no provisions for medicine. They had an embargo that blocked food, that the electricity wasn't running, that there was an over 48% unemployment rate, life expectancy and malnutrition statistics were horrifying. One of the major policymakers in this hypothetical Arabic Palestinian state said, we need to put those Jews on a diet. In the West Bank, there was another Jewish area where there was a little bit more autonomy, but there was regular Arabic settlements where they pulled up the Jewish farmers' foods, they terrorized them with rocks, the security forces broke children's bones, and they couldn't drive their own roads. We'd all have no problem understanding what that was. So there's nothing complex about it. The second part of your question, it's a pure asymmetry relationship. And the question is rights or not. So that's it. It's not complicated. The second part of your question, at this point, there's always going to be crackpots who are anti-Semitic who condemn Israel. That's not what drives the movement, particularly in the United States. If you work around most people who are concerned with this issue, it's actually populated with a lot of Jewish people. The real question we have to ask is, why is it that AIPAC is hosting an information minister for Slobodan Milosevic? Why is it that there's relationships between the Israeli government and far-right parties in Europe? Why is it that Benjamin Netanyahu's son is posting borderline alt-right memes? Why is it that Israel is an alt-right state, even though it is from the descendants of the victims of one of the greatest crimes in history? That's a serious question, and that's inseparable from the racism of the project, which goes back to the first part that we have to solve. But thank you. Shalom.
Yeah, it sucks that he's gone. I had this other idea that there was some other thing I was going to play, but I don't have the. It's okay. We're at the end here of the show, but just a concept, a notion. I don't know why I'm including this right now, just because I'm looking at it. Elon Musk this documentary by Frontline about Elon Musk's Twitter takeover. I don't know how many. I envy those of you in the world who aren't on Twitter, never got on Twitter, and don't give a shit, and probably roll your eyes at all the rigmarole, the chatter. There's other words I'm trying to come up with that it's caused by Twitter on Twitter. It's a prominent space. It's not a giant percentage of the social media behavior and activity, but it's so important for its kind of town square kind of role almost. And I think there's a fairly good argument for why a lot of these things should be regulated as public utilities. I could also go on and on about how they're controlled by demonic capitalists that are intent on, actually that's a lot of what Cory Doctorow talked about on that podcast, especially at the beginning. Like one of his opening bits was about the inshitification of the internet. Really fucking cool, really fascinating. Anyway, nevertheless, this is an important topic. This speaks to all the stuff I go on about. I find Elon so, like, it's one of those things where you're just like, ugh, God. It's like having a diagnosis of something you don't want to have to deal with, but you kind of do. His project seems to be incredibly deliberate to buy this thing where he, that was already problematic in a lot of ways, but at least functioned as a way for people of various degrees of prominence and credibility, like journalists and lots of state governments and all kinds of other weird little ways. But he seems to intent on deliberately upending the ability for people to communicate and to organize, and the prioritizing he's doing towards far right and towards very nefarious actors seems to be highly contributing to this sort of kind of Steve Bannon project of fascism taking over. His deference to the Hungarian government and for some of the things, Viktor Orban, and to the Modi government in India. Those are authoritarian, or at least trending that way. I'm sorry if I'm not getting that precisely accurate, but it's all this big right-wing project. There's nothing when people like Elon Musk talk about free speech, they're using it as a cudgel to trick you. They're wizards casting spells when right-wingers go on about free speech, because nothing that this guy does reflects that. His most recent decision to reduce the headlines or take away the headlines from links that are shared, the way that Twitter presents it, seems to be really causing a lot of confusion. And at times where there's a lot of commotion and a tremendous amount of intense energy in the world with relation to Israel and Palestine right now, knowing what's true and discerning who's bullshit and who's not, that's difficult on a good day. We're not doing a great job as a species achieving that for all kinds of reasons. That's among the reasons we should need to take social media out of the hands of capitalists, these people that are not motivated by public interest. But anyway, here's the idea: it'd be interesting to do this on Patreon, I think, and watch this documentary, and I'll just react to it while we watch it. Maybe we do it in small chunks. I don't know. Is that an idea? I have 6 patrons. Maybe someone wants to tell me if they think they'd be interested in that. I have no idea. I just said it occurred to me because this is something I'd like to watch. And, if I were of a more popular footing here, maybe it'd be cool to do like a watch thing on Discord or something like that. I could imagine something along those lines. Because it's definitely something I will watch at some point on my own. Frontline does really good work. I'm actually quite intrigued by the process of these types of documentaries. Like, what do they cost? How much work goes into them? Let's just watch the first minute. Oh, yeah.
Elon Musk is in control of Twitter this morning.
He'll have no shareholders to answer to.
Says he wants to transform the company.
Elon Musk has one rule that guides him, which is never be constrained by the rules.
Yeah. We got to get rid of billionaires. Got to end it. And I don't mean you nothing violent in that sense, but you can tax those motherfuckers out of existence. I would cap wealth and asset control at 50 million. I have a whole reasoning for that, but we'll never go that low. But it's insane that we allow these people to attain this level of power. And at least that's the one benefit, in my opinion, of Elon Musk, is that he's showing the world a very persuasive argument for why it's important to prevent single individuals from amassing this level of influence and power. The guy can afford to just burn $40 billion in wealth and value from this Twitter purchase. It was like 44. All because he didn't feel like he had. I mean, I don't know the precise reasons. This seems like this documentary might actually give us some insights, but all because he had this impulse. Banks bent to his will, nations, it affects stuff. It's just insane. So this was posted 16 hours ago, and 69,000 views already. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. I'll be interested. I think I might try that. 80,000 views 19 hours ago. I paused it 3 hours ago. So okay, I'll probably do that on Patreon. Maybe little bits in here and there on the public feed. But yeah, all right, that's it. Welcome to the new subscribers. I think we're over 200. I'm still racing against my video count versus my subscriber count. So, but that's okay. I was glad when we got to 125, and it looks like we might get to 250. That's doubling. Maybe we'll get to 500. Who knows? Maybe even 1,000. You know, that might be kind of cool. That's when you're really in the big leagues. All right. No. All right. That's good. Thanks for watching. Actually, okay. Sorry. I gotta do stuff anyway, but all we missed was a couple of more videos here about Israel Palestine, and I've already said everything I was going to say anyway, so I don't even feel like I didn't cover it. So also, you know, not everybody needs to put their opinion out there. I'm just like, that's why I'm not like trying to be very specific about this move, that move. Okay, whatever. I'm sorry. So thanks for watching. Tune in again. Keep an eye out for more, and some other stuff on the way as well that I'm pretty sure you'll be interested in hearing about. So, all right, that's good. We did a good one there. So thanks for watching. Appreciate your attention. Thanks for tuning in. Looking forward to making more stuff, doing more videos. I aspire to consistency. It's hard, working on it. And yeah, that's good. That's it. We're done. We're done with this one. We're gonna keep it going here. I'm gonna actually turn around and see if the cat's behind me. Ah!